Welcome to the territory of the Shui people, one of China's 56 ethnic minorities. You may remember them from the previous video in the small city of Libo in Guizhou. We saw lots of people wearing Shui outfits walking down the street, and a Shui lady, Miss Pan, invited us to her house for lunch with her family and even sang some traditional songs. Chatting with her and her family piqued our interest in the Shui people, and we wanted to know what life is like in the Shui villages just north of Libo. So we headed over there to find out. So here we are at a random village we found on the side of the highway. Oh, 你的狗很可爱. The Shui people have their own language, and it's quite a challenge to communicate, especially among the older generations, many of whom don't speak Mandarin. But we are attempting anyway. 我很喜欢你的帽子，你的帽子好看。
好看，你好看呢，我好看。
你好看。
你跟我好看。
这个村有多少人？
这样多了，我们回了，没动了。你听啊，水话没？
哦，他们就是水族话、水话。水话。Well, we're doing our best. A little later, we will eventually find someone who speaks Mandarin pretty well, so we'll be able to learn a little bit more about life here.
Hi.
Traditional Shui houses were made completely out of wood, but nowadays the people around here are mostly living in concrete or brick houses. Some of these new houses have wood paneling to look similar to the traditional houses, and some others have a wood pattern painted or carved on them instead of real wood. It's done so well that Wei didn't believe me when I said it's concrete and went over to touch one of the houses himself. In some neighborhoods, traditional wooden storage houses are still being used, but for the most part, everything is brick and concrete. These houses are more stable, more fireproof, and less susceptible to wind and rain, which easily get through the cracks in the wooden houses. "辛苦啦，身体真好。Let's check out some of these wooden houses and see if there's anyone still living in them. Some of these houses are still inhabited, but it seems that most of them are abandoned, and some have been abandoned for quite a while, like this one. This one's just bare bones. Exploring abandoned things is one of my absolute favorite hobbies, if you could call it that. So I've been in a lot of abandoned places, and usually you can actually go in and kind of like poke around a little bit and see if you find any treasures, but you really can't do this here because there's a storage space underneath the floor, kind of like a basement, and it's pretty big. So once the floor starts falling out, you can't walk on it anymore because there's a huge empty pit underneath. So I can't actually go in this house. I can just appreciate it from the doorway. Look at that. It's a pit of despair right there. While I was wandering around this house that is slowly being chewed and swallowed and digested by Mother Nature, I had a rare encounter with a fellow human being. He's one of the few people still living on this hill, and he still remembers his neighbors and when they left. The owner of the house we're standing at now moved out 18 years ago to the newer houses down below.
你们在这个房子住了多少年了呀？
我住了40年了，以前那住着的嘛，道路可红了，我们没有了，烧了。我们提前烧过了一回，整个寨子烧过一回的。
就这种房子怕火呀？
哦，是。
现在房子里有自来水吗？
有。
自来水和电都有。
电都有。
哦，自来水和电是什么时候通的呀
？20年了。
He's growing pomelos in his yard, and he offered one to us.
你要一个？
我们能买一个吗？
你要嘛？你要一个吃嘛？
不能白要，买一个。 谢谢你大爷。
嗯，
哎，不错，我们买一个大爷。
不要，
不行不行不行，我们不能白拿啊！
哎呀，
那谢谢你大爷。
那不这个好不好吃？
在这种有机天然的环境里种的肯定好吃。
现在你们家几个人住在这儿住啊？
我只有我一个人，
自己，
我一个人咯。
哦，孩子呢？
孩子在下边呢。
哦，他们在下边。你们家有几个孩子？
我有2个孩子。
都在这边吗？
嗯，都在这边。
哦，
我就70了。
哦
，70了。
70了。
哦，真没看出来。
你看着很年轻哦。
没看出来，没看出来。
身体很好。
嗯。
哇，我们的榜样，我们的榜样。你70岁能不能像人家这样？
他们还要身体好多呢。他们80了，他们还要抬得7、80斤。
He told us that only about 3 or 4 of these old wooden houses still have people living in them. All the rest have been abandoned throughout various decades. You know, some of them clearly have more technologically advanced items in the house. Some are like much more collapsed and fallen apart. This place has just been slowly abandoned over the years, and Wei and I happened to get here in its very last little bit of life while there's still a couple of people still living around here. But yeah, I mean, it's the same story as so many other villages I've been to. It's just like life is too hard here. There's better things elsewhere. And there are so many nice houses right across the road. So a lot of people have chosen not to live here. It's a very lonely, quiet place now. Just a few decades ago, the Shui people were living in wood houses they built themselves on hills like this one in the middle of nowhere without tap water or electricity. And now, most of them are either off in big cities like the family we met in Libo, or they're living in upgraded houses in communities throughout the region. Walking through abandoned villages is a really interesting look into how far this place has come. It's kind of a shame that so many of those wood houses have kind of gone to waste because, I mean, yeah, they're not the most convenient to live in and they're susceptible to termites and fires and blah, 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 but they're cool looking, okay? And I mean, people in China do recognize that, so it's not like all of them are going to waste. There actually are some villages that have preserved these houses, so we are on our way to such a village right now. So right now, Wei and I are in a village called Shui. It's kind of like a touristy version of the village we were just in. And this is a village where they have a bunch of those wooden houses like we just saw, but they're being preserved and protected. So this beautiful architecture will live on. Let's take a look at these bad boys. So if you want to see all the beautiful wooden buildings, but you're not into exploring abandoned stuff, or you're afraid of falling through the floor or whatever, this is the place for you. 你好，你住在这个村里吗？
哎，
这个村好漂亮啊！
哪方哪的朋友？
美国，我们喜欢母屋，
外国人
很浪漫这些房子。
爷爷高寿了？
啊，
高寿了？
我90多了。
90多了？
嗯，
哇，很厉害。是在这个村子里出生的吗？
水浦村。
水浦村。
嗯。
哦，就是我们是。
哦，我们是从那里过来的。
哦，我们去了那个水浦村。
哎。
啊，去了。
这个村，还叫做水浦村。
啊。
哎。
哦。
镇上过了统一。
嗯。
关于镇上统一。
啊，我听不懂。
小王总不行了，小王总崩溃了。
怡保县宜平镇水浦村。
水浦村。
嗯。
吧，走了，爷爷，再见啊！
拜拜。
祝你身体健康，身体健康，身体健康。
好。
There aren't many people actually living in the traditional wooden houses. They're mostly there just because they're cute, okay? Like, they're cute. There are a lot more people living in these concrete houses that have a wooden panel over them, so they are also cute. but a little bit more up to the current living standard. Hello. It seems quite a few people came here from Shui village. We met a lady and her elderly mother who also moved here from Shui village a few years ago.
你好，阿姨。
戴上帽子了，刚才没戴这个帽子。
我去跟他们去走亲了，走。
去
现在啊？
串门是吗？
去喝酒。
去喝酒。
好了，而且会你们来嘛哦。
好。
我都不大会说。
再见，阿姨。
拜拜。Just like on that day in the vegetable market in Libo, we once again found that the Shui are indeed some of the most friendly and outgoing people that we've met on our travels, despite the language barriers. It was super interesting to chat with the locals and see what life is like here now and how it compares to the past. We managed to show up here in this very unique time where most of the Shui have moved out of their traditional homes in favor of better living conditions and better job opportunities. But there are still a few elderly people living here, probably the last generation to call these unique hillside wooden houses home. Hope you guys enjoyed this little trek through the lands of the Shui people, and I will see you next time.